Most people think wide pull-ups are just a harder version of normal pull-ups, but they can actually build a completely different kind of upper body. And if you look at athletes who train them, their physiques look different. Wider shoulders, huge lats, and that sharp V-taper look that instantly stands out. And it's not just because the grip is wider. Wide pull-ups change how your upper back and lats are forced to work throughout the movement, which can completely change how your physique develops over time. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why wide pull-ups create that V-taper look and how you can train them correctly so you actually build width. So why does the back look wider? If you compare athletes with extremely aesthetic physiques, you'll notice something interesting. Some backs look thick and dense, almost like layers stacked on top of each other, but others seem to spread outward dramatically from the waist upward. That second look is the V-taper people chase. And one of the biggest visual contributors to that shape is lat width. Not just bigger muscles, but lats that visually flare outward and frame the torso. That's why someone with relatively average muscles can still look incredibly aesthetic if their upper back is wide enough. Wide pull-ups emphasize exactly that. The wider grip changes the movement mechanics, forcing your elbows and upper back into a position that places much more emphasis on the outer lats. And unlike close grip pulling, the movement often feels less like your arms are pulling and more like your entire upper back is dragging your body upward. That sensation is a big reason the exercise has such a strong reputation for creating width. But there's one problem with all of this. Most people completely misunderstand what wide is supposed to mean. The mistake most people make: the second people hear wide pull-ups build lats, they move their hands absurdly far apart and turn the exercise into a shoulder torture device, tiny range of motion, and somehow convinced it's better because the grip is wider. But extremely wide pull-ups usually make the movement worse, not better. Your shoulders lose leverage, your range of motion becomes shorter, and instead of increasing tension on the lats, you often just increase joint stress. The athletes who get the best results usually use a grip that's simply wider than shoulder width, not as wide as physically possible. That's an important difference, because the goal isn't making the exercise harder for your joints. The goal is creating more tension across the outer back while still keeping enough control and range of motion for the lats to actually work through the rep. But here's where things get interesting, because wide pull-ups don't just change the exercise itself. They change how your entire physique is perceived. Why the physique changes. The V-taper effect isn't only about building more muscle. It's about where your body visually appears wider. Wide pull-ups heavily challenge the outer upper back, which helps create that broad frame around the torso. That changes how your physique is perceived even without massive weight gain. Your shoulders look broader, your upper body spreads outward more, and your waist automatically appears smaller by comparison. That's one of the reasons calisthenics athletes often look incredibly aesthetic even when they aren't extremely bulky. And unlike machine exercises, pull-ups force everything to stabilize at once. Your core tightens, your grip fights to keep you attached to the bar, and your scapula have to control the movement the entire time. That combination creates a very athletic look instead of just isolated muscle size. So let's talk about how to actually do wide pull-ups correctly, because a few small changes completely change where the exercise hits. And quick side note, if you enjoy videos that break down training and physique development like this, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every week. So now to the interesting part. How do you actually train wide pull-ups? Most people ruin wide pull-ups by trying to chase numbers instead of quality. They rush the reps and turn the set into survival mode. But the athletes with the best backs usually make their pull-ups look smooth and controlled, especially during the lowering phase. That eccentric portion is where the lats stay under heavy tension, and dropping out of every rep removes a huge part of the stimulus. So instead of thinking about doing as many reps as possible, focus on making every rep look clean. And despite what people think, you don't need 50 reps for wide pull-ups to work. Because the mechanics are already harder, even sets of 6 to 12 strict reps can build an incredible amount of upper body width. Once those become easy, adding a small amount of weight often works even better because it forces the lats to produce more force without changing the movement itself. And that takes us to, how do you actually keep on progressing? The biggest mistake people make after getting decent at wide pull-ups is staying at the exact same level forever. They keep repeating the same reps with the same effort and expect their back to keep changing. But your body only adapts when the demand increases. That's why progression matters so much. One week, it might mean adding a single extra rep with clean form. Another week, it could mean slowing down the eccentric even more, or adding a little weight once bodyweight sets feel too comfortable. The goal isn't to make the workout look harder. It's to gradually force the lats to handle more tension over time. And when that progression is paired with consistent technique, wide pull-ups stop feeling like just a bodyweight movement and start functioning like a serious upper body builder. Final rule: wide pull-ups aren't magic, but they do create a very specific kind of upper body development. They emphasize width and that dramatic V-taper look that instantly changes how a physique appears. Your shoulders start looking broader, your waist appears narrower, and your upper body develops that athletic spread that makes calisthenics athletes stand out so much. So if you've only treated pull-ups as a basic strength exercise, it might be worth experimenting with a wider grip and focusing less on ego reps and more on tension and control, because eventually something interesting starts happening. Pull-ups stop being just another back exercise and start becoming one of the main things shaping how your entire physique looks. And if you can't even hit clean pull-ups yet, I've put together a free 0 to 5 pull-ups guide that shows you exactly how to build your first reps step by step. And if you want to see how high-rep pull-ups completely changes the way your body develops, check out the video on screen right now.